Hey guys, I just got in a product from Level 10 Innovations. It's their priming support die for the 1050. So what this is on your 1050 where the priming happens, on the tool head there's a blank hole. So this here, it's all aluminum, machined aluminum. You see it's got a flat side. It's got a spring right here, big yellow spring. This comes off and here's a rod. So what this does is it's kind of like a swage backer die, but for your priming. So I'm going to show you how to put this in and install it, and we're going to run some cases and see what happens. But basically, you run this up through your bottom of your tool head, put this back on. You have to make some adjustments right here with this backer rod and this spring, moving these up and down until you get the proper pressure on there. But basically, your case, as it's on the 1050, this goes in your case and it holds some pressure on your case as the priming comes into play. The priming rod pushes up and this basically just holds it so you get more consistent priming depths. So let's take a look at the 1050 and I'll show you how to put this on. Okay, so let's go ahead and fire up the 1050. First we got to calibrate it. Okay. So I quickly went to their website, and like I was saying, right here we have to adjust the spring a little bit. Here's what they got on their website. You see, I don't know how you can differentiate other than the date and the coloring. I guess this is bigger coils too versus the new one, but I've got the new one, and you got to set from this point to this point at 0.740 with your calipers. So let's get this set up. So before we put this on, I just want to give you guys a better look at what we have here. It's the package it came in. There is their business card. Looks like they like you to go over to their YouTube channel, and they'll give you a video tutorial on how to install this. I've installed one of these on my 9mm tool head. I've been very happy with it, so the guys at Level 10 were nice enough to send me out one for my 223. When you look at this, you can see that this one here is tapered, and that is for, let's just say, a bottleneck case like this 223 that I'm using. You can flip this around, and you see this side, this one's flat. So you can flip this around and use this on like your pistol ammo. It's a little bit better than using this tapered one when you're doing it on your pistols cartridges. So here's one piece here. So this goes up through your tool head. You tighten this up. You kind of set your depth here. And then you do have to move this up and down, which tightens your spring up. I'll show you the correct pressure. You got to get some calipers and make some measurements here. That puts the proper tension on this spring, and then you got to have the right height and setting on here. So there's a little, it's not just, you can't just bolt this on. There is some adjustments you got to make to it. Okay, so right now, just out of the box, that's where we're sitting, 0.789. We need to be 0.740 with the new spring. So this might not be how they tell you to do it, but I've done one before and it worked out perfectly for me. So I'm going to adjust this spring first. Then I'm going to put this in the tool head and then make some fine adjustments from there. So let's go ahead and adjust this. Take a crescent wrench. That's why this is actually cut out the way it is, so you can take a wrench and slip it on to capture that nut there. And this one here on top actually is metric. And we just want to do small adjustments at a time. Oh, and you can see I went too far. Just loosening this up a little bit. You see, it doesn't take much. We're just going a couple hundred thousandths at a time on this. Perfect. Okay, so let's put this in the 1050 tool head. Okay, so first thing I'm going to redo is I'm going to remove this little retainer so I can pull a piece in and out. And I was actually processing some brass earlier, so I don't have my priming system in here yet. So I will have to install that here in just a little bit. But we don't actually need that to show you how to hook this up. So you take this, and when you get on their website, you do have to measure your hole. And then you basically custom order this on their website. You tell them what size your hole is, and he'll make these to the same dimension as your hole. So mine was 0.578. with the priming system on, you want this flat side facing your priming system. Now we're just gonna snug this. We don't. This is aluminum, so we don't want to over tighten anything. We're just gonna snug it down. You see, I still have some play on this pin. And let's see. I believe on this collar here, yep, it's a 5/32 Allen wrench you're going to need. I'm just going to loosen that up. Oops. Too loose. Let me just pull this out so you can get a better look at it. So here's your rod. You see one side's tapered, one side's flat. Here is your retaining collar. So since I'm going to be, and the ends of this rod are hardened, but it's actually not hardened in the center, just on the ends. So the weak point, it's made like that, so if it has to, it'll bend here and not damage anything. So we're going to stick this back in. So basically, I set my tension on this spring by moving this top one and this nut here. This nut here is going to allow me to move this up and down. So I'm going to actually jog the 1050 down. Let me move you guys so you can see. So you can see right there is the priming rod on the 1050 itself, and here is the support backer from the level 10 backer die. Okay, so what I ended up doing is backing off the primer activation rod here, pushes down on this plunger, which brings the primers up. So I backed that off. And then you take a primer, and you bring it down just so it's slightly hovering above your primer right there. You see, that's not actually touching. It's just slightly above. And I want to crank it down just ever so slightly. I don't want it touching that primer, but I want it just right above it. And then I want to take and double check that I have the spring this spring at the 0.740, which I am not, so I've got to tighten that up just 0.100 of an inch. So you just want to go really slow with this. Oh, perfect. Close enough. Okay. And as you can see, I'm just above that primer. I can move that primer around. So I'm not touching it with the rod. Okay. When I do adjustments like this, I like to have another case in there somewhere else just to help support this. So let's, oops. It's primed. Now I was shooting for, I'm okay with 0.003 of an inch. As you can see, well, you gotta hold it nice and square in there. So we're right there at 0.003. Let's do a couple more, double check this. I'd be happy with between 3 and 4 thousandths. Now I just ran it through the swage station just so I could make sure that this primer pocket is right where I wanted it. Put another one on the swage station. Oops. actually. I'm going to be super picky here just because I can. I'm going to bring this plunger down just a little bit. I'm okay if it goes over 3. I'm between 3 and 4. So right there's 4. I'm happy with that. I'm just going to back it off just a hair. You see me backing it off just that tiny bit, got me back to 3. Just tiny bit. Perfect. I'm gonna call that good right there. Yeah, I'm only fluctuating 0.5 thousandths of an inch. I'm gonna say that is perfect. Okay. So guys, that is how you set up the level 10 Innovations priming support die. I'll admit it is a little intimidating at first, but once you get the concept of how it works, it's not that bad to set it up. Next, I'll show you guys me running this. Yep. I'll show you guys me running this press, actually loading up some ammo, and we'll check the consistency of these primers. That's telling me that the primer backer rod is bottoming out on the case and giving it that support. So let's move over here and take some measurements. Okay, so you can see with the Level 10 Innovation priming support die, I'm getting pretty good results. Now, we're talking 100,000ths of an inch here, so there's going to be some fluctuations. So this tool's a little difficult to use too. You got to have this exactly flush, but it bottoms out on this case. The case head bottoms out on the bottom of this die, and then that takes a flat measurement off your primer. So you can see it also depends on exactly how you got it. I'm rotating it, so you can see I'm fluctuating between 2.5 thou and 3 thousandths. So for me, I was shooting for 3 thousandths of an inch. Could probably go up to 3.5, 4 thousandths. Be happy with that, but I'm pretty happy with this Level 10 Innovations priming support die.